All right, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the 5 ways that CBCS can improve their market standing. Let's go. So not too long ago, I had made some comments about how CBCS and PGX were clearly number 2, number 3, and had really done nothing to advance that cause. And someone asked me, well, what can they do? And so today I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that they could do. There's multiple advantages that companies can seek out. There's 5 big ones, and I'm going to talk to you about how CBCS and PGX could leverage these at a time when CGC is so vulnerable. First and foremost, let's say one thing. PGX, I'm going to stop talking about them from this point forward. They are a garbage tier grading company. Do not send your books there. All the other companies that you see, EGS, I've seen recently, do not do that. There are really 2 real options right now in the market for comic book grading. They are CGC and then your second tier CBCS. Everything else is worthless. Don't go to PGX right now. They're just not a good company in general, guys. I'm not going to really go more into it. I don't want to sit here and slam someone's company all day, but just know that it's a waste of your money to go that route. So really, what can CBCS do to increase their market share? Number one, one of the first advantages you can have is a cost-based advantage. This is the easiest, most obvious way of achieving competitive advantage. My stuff costs less. You don't have to spend as much to use my service. Customers aren't always aware of competitors' price being as different as they are. CGC has had to raise their prices twice within the past year. They are raising this price and they're going to continue to raise it until it starts to stop the volume. And then they'll know when they're hitting an equilibrium. They were just purchased by a larger outfit, right? That larger outfit, they're looking at things with a lot finer tooth comb than CGC's ever been looked at before. And that larger organization knows how to leverage things to maximize profitability. That's what they do. They're looking at this going, oh, you raise your prices once and you're still getting slammed with all this volume. We can raise the prices some more. And then they said, and we can do it again. And they're going to keep doing it. So what does CBCS do? CBCS right now needs to take advantage of the cost-based advantage sitting right in front of them. Number one, they have a cheaper product. They need to get that out there key in front of all their advertising. They need to have viral marketing on every CGC graded comics Facebook group in any form that they can to get the message out that they have a cheaper product. You don't have to spend as much when you use us. They also need to have some introductory cost breaks. That's one way that I got into CGC. Oh, it's $150 and I get $150 worth of free books to send in. So it's essentially paying for itself in the first year. Great, you got me, I'm hooked. That's how CGC operates on their model, right? CBCS needs to do that and then some to start luring away CGC's customers. People like to tell you that CBCS and CGC are growing at the same rate. They're not. CGC continues to grow at a rate far, far faster than CBCS. If you just look at the numbers on the books, you can tell the number of submissions that have gone in as they go up in their numerical system. And CBCS is just to not move at the same rate as CGC's. It's just the honest truth, guys. The second way that they can improve their market share, they need to show an advantage from a differentiated product or service. And so what that means is their offering needs to be different in a way that customers value it, and that gives them a competitive advantage. And so what they're offering right now is kind of the same thing. And the things that they're doing to say that they're different aren't really different, right? You're trying to highlight Newton rings. Guess what? The majority of people don't give a shit about Newton rings, dude. It is the worst thing to latch onto for a sales pitch. It is entirely someone not just getting the customer base and understanding what they want and thinking they're trying to sell you something that you don't really give a fuck about. Like, they continue to harp on this. And it's like, dude, guys, we've sent in hundreds of books. If I'm still going to get a higher financial return on my CGC book, I don't give a shit about the Newton rings. I don't give a shit about the ones that are in my case. If it makes my book worth more money and I can count on the rest of the things being consistent between the 2 companies, then I don't care. CBCS needs to find a way that they are a differentiated product or service from CGC. And they haven't really found a way to do that. And CGC just keeps continuing to grow and grow and grow. And as long as they do that, it's going to be harder and harder and harder for CBCS to make themselves different. The third thing that they can do is be the first. It's called first mover advantage. They need to be the first player to kind of adopt a new product or approach, right? They need to do something different in the industry. They haven't really done that at all. Everything they've done has just been sort of to follow CGC. First movers, there's a lot of examples of the things they move to failing. And so they don't do as well and they have to go back to the drawing board. And so CBCS is avoiding that. They're just doing everything CGC does, but they're doing it a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years later, right? And it's no longer new. Oh, your signature series have yellow labels now? Great. That's CGC's done that this whole time. In fact, they have all kinds of custom labels. Have you seen those? Again, this goes back to CBCS not understanding their market. Do you see how CGC does all their custom labeling and they have multiple custom label options? Do you see how they continue to do that? Now they have votes for people to pick the new custom labels. And CBCS will still sit here and tell you, and their fanboys will tell you that, well, they want the book to be the star, not the label. Guess what? Do you see all these people buying f***ing labels? It's because the label is part of the show now and people want it to be flashy. So it doesn't matter what you put on top, your eyes are going to be drawn to the top of the book, and that's what you're going to be looking at. If CBCS really didn't want people to look at their label, they'd put it on the back of the book, out of sight, where no one could see it, and all you could see on the front was the book. You wouldn't see a label at all, but they don't. And why is that? Because they want their label out front, because it's branding, because at least one person who works for that company isn't a complete moron and understands that they need that to be front and center. The rest of them, however, continue to hold them back, and they still have what looks like a high schooler did in like Photoshop class in 1995 to throw together a label on the top of their products, and that's ridiculous. They need to find some kind of new product, new approach, be the first mover in the market to offer that thing that others aren't doing. They have this with their signature verification. The problem is they verified false signatures, so they need to tighten that up, get their shit together in the signature verification market, and then they need to offer it at a competitive price. I'm not sending any book to CBCS right now for an extra $50 for a SIG verification that they clearly verify fraudulent signatures. Like, I can't even count on them. And the majority of my shit's Adam Hughes. Like, it's the easiest signature out there to verify or fake, right? Super simple. An A and an H has a slight little curve to it, and there you go. I can't trust the name behind their product right now. Like, they need to fix that, and then they need to get it front and center. They need to use a cost-based advantage to put it out front. CBCS SIG verification should not cost $20 less than sending an actual book off to get signed by someone in person and witness. SIG verification should be like an extra $10 on top of the $20 I'm already sending the book to you for. The fourth thing they can do, that's your time-based advantage. So there's times where you can do something at a certain time that puts you at a competitive advantage. Time and timing, they're often just as important as pricing in the modern business world, particularly in a company, in a market like comics where it's very volatile, right? Like, we've seen that volatility, and the first person to get their stuff graded and back to the market, usually they're selling at the peak of the demand, right? And that demand, man, and that TV show is not good, or it's not living up to the hype. Like that Eternals, remember those Eternals prices? And then the movie didn't really live up to the hype and it started dropping. Time-based advantage. The timing that they bring new products to market can be critical. CBCS right now should really have partners on Whatnot everywhere. They should have multiple partners on Whatnot. They should be at the forefront of that service, getting their name all over it. Because you know who's not going to? CGC is not going to, but CBCS could. And that is one of the biggest marketplaces for comic books for people to easily buy and sell them right now. And the more that they could get their brand in there as the brand of this new technology would be brilliant, right? Again, I don't claim to be like the guy who knows all the business practices in the world, guys, but there's some that are just basic and there's some that are simple. And it would not be that hard for CBCS to reach out to some of the biggest sellers on there. Reach out to Unknown Comics, CBCS. Reach out to Neo Collects. There's multiple people on there you could reach out to, and they would be happy to showcase your shit and sell your shit on their show. Have them, if you buy something from that person, get free grading from that person for the month of April, like whatever. So many ways to get your name out there. A time-based advantage. The timing is right now because that Whatnot market's going to go through some volatility of its own. Last but not least, the fifth thing that they can do, a technology-based advantage. This one I'm actually going to give them credit for, and then I'm going to tell you how ridiculous it is that they don't hype it up more. Every CBCS book has a QR code on the back of the top label. That QR code, if you scan it, will take you to the grader's notes for the book. This was such a threat to CGC. For years, CGC, the only person who could see grader's notes was the person who sent the book in. And that was the only person who could see them. And even then, sometimes you had to request it and pay for it. CGC recently changed their policy so that all graders' notes will be visible from now on all their books. But it's also not going to be as simple as a QR code that takes you directly to it, right? Or brings it to you. CBCS has actually done it. This is a pretty fantastic system that they've implemented there. Again, on the title card that they think shouldn't have anything to do with the book. They need to put that QR code instead of on the back, front and center on the front of the title. Move that emblem over a little bit, put the QR code up there on the front, make it visible, and show people that you offer this upgraded technology-based advantage to using your service. It's mind-boggling, dude. It's so mind-boggling how it could be so easy for this company to make some of these moves. And I just wonder what's happening behind doors that causes them to not do things that are just like blatantly obvious, like very easy to see that you can make these changes or make these moves to try to set yourself apart. And I think, and what I've heard is that they're happy being second. And so as long as they're happy being second, they're just going to become less and less relevant in the conversation, which is unfortunate because the industry really does need competition. As much as I slam them for their dumb decisions, the industry really does need competition. CGC being the monopoly that it is really bad for the industry. So that's what I have for you guys. Someone asked, I told them I'd deliver. These are the 5 things that they can do, right? These are the 5 advantages that they can take advantage of to try to set themselves apart. The cost base, the differentiated products, the first mover advantage, a time-based advantage, or the technology-based advantage. But there's 5 simple ones right there that they can try to use to try to set themselves apart. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you like this content. Remember to hit that like, remember to hit that subscribe, and I will see you guys in the future.